InvestorIdeas.com podcasts.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcasts, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. In today's podcast, we look at early announcements from Canopy Rivers Incorporated, trading on the TSX as RIV and the OTC as CNPOF. Cresco Labs Incorporated, trading on the CSE as CL and the OTCQX as CRLBF. HLIX Technologies Incorporated, trading on the OTCQB as HLIX, as well as Bevcan Enterprises Incorporated, trading on the CSE as BEV and the OTCQB as BVNNF. So first starting with Canopy Rivers, whose portfolio company BioLumic Limited has received approval from the New Zealand Ministry of Health to apply its proprietary ultraviolet light technology to medical cannabis. So while BioLumic's approach has been successful in increasing yields in certain crops, such as strawberries, by up to 60%, this approval marks the first time that the company's UV light technology will be used on cannabis. BioLumic hopes that its research will show increased yields in the cannabis plant and help producers meet the rising demand for medical cannabis and cannabis-derived products. So to bring its cannabis research program to life, BioLumic is partnering with two established cannabis companies. The company will work with Canada-based cannabis cultivator and Canopy Rivers portfolio company James E. Wagner Cultivation Corporation, trading on the TSX Venture as JWCA and the OTCQX as JWCAF, as well as Auckland-based medical cannabis company Helios Therapeutics. And with the support of these partnerships, BioLumic plans to begin conducting medical cannabis commercial trials in New Zealand and Canada by June of 2020. The partnership between BioLumic and JWC is another sign of strong collaboration in the Canopy Rivers ecosystem, said Narbe Alexandrian, President and CEO of Canopy Rivers. We expect that BioLumic's expertise in non-cannabis agricultural technology will help cannabis cultivators like JWC produce high-yield, sustainable strains that meet consumer demand and patient needs. BioLumic's UV light technology treats plants to increase yields and enable plants to more effectively defend themselves against disease or pest attacks. By exposing seeds and seedlings to short-duration UV treatments, BioLumic aims to increase yields and improve tolerance to drought, diseases, and pests. Working with Canopy Rivers has opened the door for us to expand into cannabis, and that starts with the application of our technology to the cannabis plant, said Jason Wargent, Chief Science Officer of BioLumic. From accessing capital to bringing our new staff in science and AI to introducing our companies such as JWC, we believe our ongoing relationship with Canopy Rivers is a catalyst for building the industry's understanding of how to improve the way cannabis is grown. So for its cannabis research program, BioLumic will combine photogenics, the control of plant signaling responses to UV light, and artificial intelligence to focus on improving the yield of the fast-growing cannabis crop, with a focus of cannabinoids such as CBD and THC. BioLumic has also hired additional science and AI-focused staff at the Palmerston North, New Zealand facility to accelerate its cannabis research program. New company focusing on ultraviolet research for the cannabis plant. There's a lot of things that have come out similar to this in the past, which is different cannabis companies working with companies coming out of the agricultural sector and sort of focusing on how they can both benefit in this growing market. I would hope that there would be some improved yields from this type of UV treatment. Although with that in mind, it will be difficult to assess whether that does affect the actual cannabinoid components and the sort of potency of the plant over time. That's sort of the only real difference when we're comparing any other agricultural development to the cannabis plants, is that there isn't a medical potency of strawberries. So with the yields changing, it doesn't really affect their inner biology that much, but we've seen just from minor changes in your grow tactics can have a big effect on your cannabis overall terpene profiles as well as cannabinoids. So we'll see what the efficacy of this whole sort of BioLumic partnership is moving forward. But technologies like this are definitely going to be what companies need to start addressing moving forward, especially when you're looking at medical cannabis for sort of the global community. Looking next at Cresco Labs, who announced today that it's finally closed the previously announced acquisition of Origin House by the way of a plan of arrangement. So this is a transformational deal for Cresco and represents the culmination of the better part of a year's work for both the Cresco and Origin House teams, said Charlie Bachtel, Cresco's CEO and co-founder. With the closing of this transaction, Cresco is in a position to accelerate its entry into one of the largest legal cannabis markets in the world, while adding valuable expertise in wholesale distribution and brand development, which we expect will derive significant value for all of our shareholders as we scale across the country in the coming years. We also see meaningful synergies across our national footprint through the addition of Origin House's ultra-premium indoor cultivation team, which we expect will assist us in our goal of consistently outperforming the market on yield and quality metrics. Mr. Bachtel continued, in an industry that is in flux, Cresco is one of the most fundamentally sound and best positioned multi-state cannabis operators in the U.S. The company has built an engine that's designed to execute operationally, develop leading brands, and get them into the hands of consumers to drive growth and value across all three horizons, short, medium, and long term. So, pursuant to the arrangement agreement, Cresco will appoint Mark Lustig, the chairman and CEO of Origin House, to the Cresco board of directors, following the receipt of certain U.S. regulatory approvals. So, with the acquisition of Origin House, this makes Cresco a leading wholesale distributor in California, selling into over 575 dispensaries, representing approximately 65% of California's storefront dispensaries. And Origin House's Continuum distribution platform distributes 13 third-party brands, including King's Garden. So obviously, if you've been paying attention to Cresco or Origin House, this deal has been in the works for, as I mentioned, a better part of a year. Finally is closed now. And this does give the combined entity really a massive footprint in California. As it says, they're almost 65% there. So as far as companies moving forward that are positioned at least to just generate some simple short-term revenue. As I said, they're positioned short, medium, and long quite well. But at least now for the next little while, probably one of the better positioned companies in that area. Again, having control of 60% of the California market, which is one of the strongest sort of markets that's out there right now, is a good place to be in, especially as now they have a better distribution network, which is one of the biggest issues facing any of the sort of developed or undeveloped cannabis markets right now, is basically having a single point of distribution. There doesn't really seem to be any companies or ability to do that within the industry right now, but having these sort of combined entities like this, it gives them access to just a sort of quick movement throughout the state, and again, control over that sort of 535 or 65% of the sort of storefront, which is again quite aggressive. So finally has closed that final deal. Next, looking at HLIX Technologies, who successfully completed the launch of the state tracking system for adult use marijuana sales in Illinois. So the successful transition of the tracking system for medical and adult use allowed businesses to sell over 3.2 million of the cannabis product on the first day of sales. So the historic rollout marked the first state to legalize cannabis through legislation instead of a ballot initiative, and is also the second and most populous state in the Midwest to allow adult use marijuana, signaling a growing acceptance of the plant in the traditionally conservative region. And Illinois represents the largest market in the Midwest, with first day sales topping nearby Michigan by over 10 times. On the first day, the BioTrack system successfully processed over 3.2 million in transactions, representing over 70,000 item sales. And the strong first day sales showed that little sign of slowing down, with the first week seeing more than 250,000 transactions totaling over 11 million. Our biggest challenge upon launch was ensuring that all users had the requisite knowledge prior to going live, said Dr. Mo Afene, COO of BioTrack. Our support and training personnel have been putting in long hours, especially over the holidays, to make sure everything went smoothly, and that focus hasn't ceased in the last week. The success of this launch is a testament to the hard work of customer service focused. BioTrack was nothing short of excellent concerning its collaboration on this massive Illinois launch at our Sunnyside dispensaries. The BioTrack team was extremely informative, professionally, and executed real-time adjustments to fix any issues we ran into daily or nightly. And they were truly a wonderful partner in this process, proactively reaching out to us and checking in to see that the system was operating smoothly, said Jordan Kurtz, EVP of Retail Operations at Cresco Labs. This was the largest single deployment in history, and I am honored that the state of Illinois selected BioTrack as its partner. Our team demonstrated a real passion and drive to complete this effort flawlessly, said HLIX Technologies CEO and Executive Chairman Zachary Venegas. I also want to thank our many commercial clients who continue to trust our services and integrate us into their businesses. So, another company benefiting from the launch of Illinois sales that started on January And with this, HLIX Technologies, they again got to be the partner with the state for one of their BioTrack systems. And really, it's interesting to see with Illinois. There's been a lot of obviously onboarding of cannabis programs into multiple states, including in different countries as well. And a lot of them have had better or worse success. And it looks so far like Illinois has actually unloaded their program quite well. And through their legislation and actually through their partnerships with certain companies and maybe paying attention to what's happened in other states, they've actually done, seems like, a very thorough job of onloading this program into the state and making sure that there is actual easy access for both medical and recreational, and also, again, a full system in place for tracking and controlling all of this, which is what a lot of now the other more established markets are now having to do in sort of a catch-up mode. So it is interesting to see as some of the new markets come online that they do actually learn from some of the past mistakes. A lot of them don't, but it seems a few of them do, and Illinois seems to be one of the ones that's actually benefiting from some of the past knowledge being done before them. Lastly, looking at BevCanada Enterprises, who announced that Chief Commercialization Officer Emma Andrews will be featured at this week's Lift & Co. Expo, sharing insights into the infused cannabis beverage category and consumer. And the conference is being held on January 9th to 11th at the Vancouver Convention Center. Bev Canada will also be participating in the Lift & Co. Expo portion of the conference, acting as the hydration partner for the expo and offering samples of two of Bev Canada's original cannabis-infused beverage brands, Anarchist Mountain and Groove, at exhibit booth 641. So the Anarchist Mountain brand is inspired by natural botanicals found throughout the Pacific Northwest and is based slightly sparkling spring water. And the Anarchist Mountain is THC dominant and designed for social occasions, whereas the Groove brand represents an easy drinking range of classic iced tea profiles and is composed of an equal balance of THC and CBD, making an approachable choice for current and new cannabis consumers alike. And as the hydration partner, Bev Canada is sponsoring a steady supply of fresh water to all Lift Co. Expo attendees. And Investor Ideas will also be attending Lift & Co. this year, so we'll be bringing you some of the coverage over the next few days of the event and what's going on there, as well as interviews live at the event as well. And BevCanada, one of the few companies that's now being able to get products out in the market, and it'll be interesting to see what the sort of consensus is of their products now that they can start bringing things to events. And that's going to be really over the next coming months, getting sort of these beverages, whether it's BevCanada or another beverage company in Canada, out to consumers or to industry reviewers, and actually getting their brand out there as early as possible into sort of people's eyes is going to be a big sort of challenge for everyone, as again there's going to be so many different product SKUs coming available that a lot of the products right now we've seen consumers aren't really that picky, even though everyone seems to discuss in the cannabis industry that there's a very decisive consumer market out there. It seems that at least for the Canadian market, because there's been such limited access in certain provinces, basically whatever's available is sold out immediately. And so those early brands are going to have the advantage, because even if consumers don't necessarily know why they chose it just because it was available, they still might remember it, and then if it does work or have the potency or desired effects, then obviously they might just end up sticking with that brand just because it's the one they know after their sort of first early experiences. So BevCanada being at the Lift Co. this year is going to give them a good advantage of getting their name out there and having people actually know about them moving forward. That's all for today's podcast. Enjoy the rest of your week. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.